Good afternoon and welcome to the Midday News. Here's what we have in the bulletin. More details emerge on 14-year-old chopped to death in St. Thomas. JPS customers urged to not worry following government's announcement to pull the plug on JPS current license. And later in sports, relay teams seek qualification at Barbados Grand Prix. Thank you for joining us. I'm Amoy Harriet. Here are the details. Up first this afternoon, more details are emerging on the moments before 14-year-old Tiana Sutherland was brutally murdered at a relative's home in East Prospect, St. Thomas. The police are reporting that the child was home alone when her attacker gained entry through an open grill to the back of the house. The report further stated that she attempted to call her father, who is a police sergeant, but the call dropped. He became worried after not getting through to her when he returned the call, and so he immediately went back to the house. The policeman found his daughter lying in a pool of blood in the kitchen with chop wounds. She was taken to the Princess Margaret Hospital, where she was pronounced dead. Her attacker, described as mentally ill, was subsequently killed by police following an alleged confrontation. The child, who is a U.S. citizen, was visiting relatives for the summer holidays. It doesn't make sense, that reaction from opposition spokesman on finance Julian Robinson in response to the government's explanation for why the law enforcement criteria was removed from the advertisement for the head of the Financial Investigations Division. Carrie-Ann Simpson tells us more.
Information Minister Dr. Dana Morris-Dixon on Tuesday, in an attempt to clarify public concerns surrounding the recruitment of the new head of the Financial Investigations Division, FID, stated that the law enforcement experience was never a mandatory requirement for the post and was removed during the process to allow for a broader pool of applicants. The Information Minister also addressed the media request made under the Access to Information Act concerning the hiring process, stating that all relevant documents such as the scoring sheet and the employment contract have been released to the requesting media outlets. But for opposition spokesman on finance Julian Robinson,
there's nowhere in government where an interviewing panel either has the authority or the mandate to change the requirements for a job at that senior level without any documentation, without reference to any other organization, either the Services Commission or anything, and just unilaterally, verbally make such a substantive change without more. That doesn't exist in government. Government does not operate that way.
Mr. Robinson is also questioning who gave the interview panel the authority to make the changes.
What you have seen, quite frankly, it's what I call shifting sand. There was one explanation provided by the Solicitor General, who is the government's lawyer and acting on the instructions of the government. There was then a second explanation provided by the minister. And then the Ministry of Finance issued a release yesterday, which when I saw it, I wondered what the purpose of that release was, to then withdraw it later on in the night. So you're seeing three different explanations for what happened in this process. And quite frankly, when you add up the three of them, they don't add up to one.
Mr. Robinson is accusing the government of manipulating the process to suit an individual. He's also responded to the government's assertion that it has nothing to hide.
If you have nothing to hide, then why not provide the answers? The reason offered by the Solicitor General about breaching privacy is just a nonsensical reason. And I mean, I want to be clear, the Solicitor General is a professional who acts on the instructions of the government, not in her personal capacity. But that reason can't stand to any scrutiny at all. This is not private matters.
Jamila Maitland, TVJ News.
There's no need to worry, that assurance to JPS customers this afternoon following the announcement that the government will not renew the company's all-island license under the existing terms. The announcement has triggered mixed reactions from the public, with many questioning the potential implications for customers. From monopoly to makeover, the government is seemingly turning down the voltage on JPS's control of the grid. Energy Minister Darrell Vaz is pulling the plug on JPS's license as we know it, signaling that new licensing terms and conditions will be negotiated when the current license expires in 2027. President of the Jamaica Energy Partners Group and country manager for InterEnergy Holdings, Wayne McKenzie, is seeking to clarify the details of the minister's announcement. Of note, InterEnergy supplies 1/3 of the local power grid. Speaking on TVJ's Smart Jamaica program on Thursday, Mr. McKenzie said he believes this is a good move for the country.
Everybody's saying, I hear JPS saying, well, it's going to be dark days for the country. It's not going to be dark days for the country. The license itself is going to be amended. Whoever owns JPS, JPS is not going away now. It's going to be here. You have to have a single buyer where people sell into. It's always managed that is going to change. So those things, those fundamental has to change to make the price of electricity cheaper.
Notably, the current license began in 2001 and over the past 2 decades has only seen 2 amendments, one in 2011 and another in 2014. Mr. McKenzie says recent advancements in technology has rendered the license in its current form outdated.
Prior to 2001, we didn't have a lot of renewables on the grid. We have a lot of renewables on the grid now. We have a lot of renewables in the domestic space where people with homes want to supply energy to the grid. The license doesn't necessarily accommodate that easily. And you're right, we're talking about a 27-year-old license, It's not an amendment this country needs, it needs a reform.
In the meantime, opposition spokesman on energy Philip Paulwell says the government must ensure future negotiations on a new electricity license result in low energy costs for Jamaicans. He's of the view that the right of first refusal that the JPS now has should be dismantled.
Deal with the matter of electricity theft, because today 20% of the bills that legitimate customers pay is as a result of the theft of electricity. And those are some of the things that should be addressed in a license. I also believe that no license should be granted for 20 years. Not in this day and age of technology where things are rapidly improving. I don't believe that you should have a license for more than 10 years. I believe that it is full time that those persons who operate in the special economic zone space, that they be allowed to not only generate electricity for themselves, but to also distribute within that space.
To other news, the Area 5 police are promising swift and sustained crackdown in communities grappling with crime and violence. More details in this report.
We will remain relentless in our pursuit of peace and stability. That assertion from head of the Area 5 Police, Assistant Commissioner Christopher Phillips, speaking Sunday at the Waterford Police Annual Church Service in Portmore, St. Catherine. ACP Phillips says the police will bring to book those responsible for causing mayhem across all divisions.
What I want to leave is that to those who still dare to commit crimes because some persons are still doing big man work in our country, running up and down and think we don't know what's happening. I want to send a strong message that we know who you are and we will find you. Our intelligence gathering and strategic partnerships are bearing fruit, and it's only a matter of time, just a matter of time, before we bring some of these persons to justice.
Area 5 comprises St. Catherine North and South, St. Thomas and St. Andrew North police divisions. Noting the remarkable reduction in crime in St. Catherine South Division, ACP Phillips adds that the police will continue its relentless and transformative efforts to achieve record low crime figures.
Last year, St. Catherine South Division went under 100 murders, and this year it seems as if they're going to go somewhere on a 50. And that trend of energy trickles down into the different police areas, because the Waterford police area is also seeing historic reductions. Can you imagine waterfall?
Raquel Porto reporting for TVJ News.
Now, Agriculture Minister Floyd Green has slammed the opposition, accusing them of doing little to address key challenges in the sector during their time in office, including predial larceny and the poor state of farm roads across the country. Speaking in northeast Manchester over the weekend, Minister Green said the previous administration failed to implement meaningful penalties for farm theft, leaving farmers vulnerable to what he described as a multi-billion-dollar criminal enterprise.
For years, the farmers said they must move up the fines, move up the prison time. They had the chance to do it. Did they do it? They did not do it. Well, your Prime Minister said, as Minister, I must get it done. And I can tell you, we have moved the fines for some of the predial larceny crimes. When we found it, it was a maximum fine of $250,000. Your government has moved that to $3 million. It was a maximum time in prison of 6 months. Your government has moved that to 3 years in prison for predial larceny crimes. And we don't stop here, sir.
The minister also blasted the opposition for neglecting rural infrastructure, arguing that broken and unpaved farm roads have for decades limited agricultural production and kept many small farmers struggling.
Every time you hear them say they want to fix farm road, ask them how much farm road they need fix when they did have the government. They don't like that story then, because between 2012 and 2016, when they were in government, they fixed in total 24 farm roads. Last year, this government fixed 81 farm roads in 1 year.
Minister Green has committed to address the deplorable state of the River Road and Chudley farm roads, which are located in Manchester. He, however, didn't give a timeline or an estimate on the rehabilitation cost. Labour and Social Security Minister Pernod Charles Jr. is reminding Jamaicans that some individuals will not be eligible for the new Solidarity Program. Under the $1 billion program, 50,000 vulnerable Jamaicans are set to receive a one-time $20,000 cash grant. But speaking in the House of Representatives on Tuesday, Mr. Charles said the initiative targets certain vulnerable groups.
This includes the elderly without formal support, youth who are not now employed, they're not in training, they're not in school, persons with disabilities who are in need, informal or low-income workers who are in need, the medically indigent, micro-business owners who have been affected by disaster within the last year, and the several Jamaicans who we know have never before been able to register for any of these programs for lack of the required documentation, particularly having no birth certificate.
However, current beneficiaries of PATH, NIS, Poor Relief and similar government programs are not eligible.
The program is to serve as a bridge to opportunity. Beneficiaries will be referred to a network of essential government services, healthcare, skills training, employment support, civil registration to get their birth certificates, to register for NIS, to register for PATH, or whatever it is that is required to assist them, to lift them up, and to provide a sustainable pathway out of their current situation.
Meanwhile, Mr. Charles explains that unattached youths continue to be a main concern, especially in the labour market.
It's a youngster who is not now in school, not now employed, and not now in training, who is to receive from this program the $20,000 grant, will be asked, will be assessed with the hope that we can get that person into some formalized training, into some skills training, and to provide them with some other opportunity. Mr. Speaker, we are proud that the program will be the first initiative to be facilitated through the Gov Payout, the government's new digital payment platform.
And it's now time for a break, but stay with us. More stories when we return. Welcome back to Midday News. It's now time for the Business Minute.
The Planning Institute of Jamaica is reporting that net migration is having a negative effect on the population structure, leading to a negative population growth rate. The PIOJ also stressed that the population had some 27,000 more women than men last year, when it was comprised of 1,363,700 women and 1,336,700 men. There was a 0.1% fall in the country's counted population to 2.7 million people last year. Further afield, Nissan is recalling more than 440,000 vehicles over an engine issue. The automaker says engine bearings may have defects that could lead to engine failure, raising the risk of a crash. The recalled vehicles include the 2021 to 2024 Rogue, 2019 to 2020 Altima, 2019 to 2022 Infiniti QX50 and the 2022 Infiniti QX55. Dealers will inspect the recalled vehicles and make repairs if needed. Nissan will start notifying drivers late next month. And that's it for the Business Minute. I am Kurt Wright.
And time now for a look at what's happening around the world.
In the region, the Pan American Health Organization has reported that deaths from non-communicable diseases such as heart disease, cancer, and diabetes have surged by 43% in the Americas, including the Caribbean, since 2000. The new report, titled NCDs at a Glance 2025, notes that the figure reached 6 million in 2021. The region of the Americas is not on track to meet the global goal of a 25% reduction in premature NCD mortality by 2025. But PAHO says 11 more member states could meet this goal with accelerated efforts. PAHO says non-communicable diseases are the main causes of deaths, accounting for 65% of all deaths in the region, or 9.2 million, with nearly 40% occurring before age 70. On the international scene, Donald Trump's huge budget bill is heading for a final vote in the U.S. House of Representatives. The plan, which Trump calls the Big Beautiful Bill, has been held up in Congress over concerns about the impact on national debt and health care. But in the early hours of Thursday, Republican rebels fell into line. Trump wants the bill signed by July 4, when the U.S. celebrates Independence Day. And those were the top regional and international stories. I'm McKenzie Robinson.
And it's time now to go to a quick break. But when we come back, we'll have your midday sports report.